The military operation to seize the airport and seaport of the Yemeni city of Hudaydah began on June 13th. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates both pledged to swiftly take the two ports from Ansarullah fighters without entering the center of Hudaydah. But what was promised to be a short battle has now become unexpectedly slow to such an extent that some are calling it a war of attrition. That's because Ansarullah fighters put up a stiff resistance against the invaders from the very beginning of the offensive.
They'll wage a guerrilla-type war. The country is just designed for that, and it will be a constant bleeding sore for Saudi Arabia. So they need to understand that from a military standpoint. They can seize the ports, they can control all kinds of things, but the Houthis are not going to stop fighting.
The ongoing battle threatens to cut aid supplies to the rest of Yemen. Most of the humanitarian aid shipments to Yemen currently run through this port. The mainly UAE-backed forces trying to take the area are refusing to let go. The precarious situation has even alarmed some of the close allies of the Saudis and Emiratis. Some top Democrats in the U.S. Congress are urging the Saudis and Emiratis to drop their demands for a unilateral surrender by Yemeni fighters defending Hudaydah. The Democrats have written a letter to the ambassadors of Saudi Arabia and the UAE in Washington, raising serious concern about the humanitarian cost of the ongoing offensive.
We urge you to be flexible with regard to your requirements to avert escalation at Hudaydah, specifically your demands that the Houthis unconditionally leave the city and port, and more recently, the entire Red Sea coast immediately.
The letter is seen by some observers as a sign that the U.S. Congress is growing tired and losing appetite for a longer war in Yemen. This is especially important because the Congress has the power to block further arms sales and logistical support to the Saudis and their allies.
I think what this does, though, is it does put some pressure on the Trump administration to draw back a little and perhaps to tell the Saudi Arabians, look, this is getting to be a problem. The brutality that you have displayed is becoming an embarrassment to us.
The United States has been a key partner in the war in Yemen that began in 2015. Any concrete measure by Washington will have an important impact on the course of the war. The U.S. has been providing the Saudis with weapons, intelligence, mid-air fueling, and logistical support. That's not all. America has provided full diplomatic cover for the Saudis. Some have gone so far as to say that the Yemen war is led by the United States, not the Persian Gulf states.
No one has been willing to speak out. I have spoken out against it, just as I spoke out against the war in Syria. But the fact that now we're beginning to break down the barrier, the media censorship in the West is no longer working, and all of a sudden you have 5 Democratic congressmen who say, we're going to acknowledge the war crimes being committed, and we're going to caution Saudi Arabia.
The latest stance of the U.S. Congress is probably not shared by the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump. He has significantly improved the U.S.-Saudi alliance and is therefore unwilling to do anything that could anger Riyadh. Observers believe the Hudaydah offensive cannot have gone ahead without some kind of U.S. approval, and now any meaningful U.S. opposition to a prolonged operation can help end the dangerous standoff.